You know, the Fed goes and manufactures money and gives it to the government. You know, the Fed is really not federal, but most people don't know that. The Federal Reserve is not a federal, it's not. I mean, yes, the president appoints the chairman, but the Federal Reserve is an independent, you know, kind of entity that lends money to the government so that we won't totally go under, as opposed to the government manufacturing its own money. Now, that's a different conversation for another day, but that is the truth. You want to research it yourself, you'll find out. You see, because we're told a lot of things so that we won't do our own research. Thank God for the internet, for Twitter, Facebook, well, sometimes. Twitter, Facebook, and some other new innovative information techniques, because we're getting tidbits of more information. And we need information to be able to make responsible decisions. You know, the social networking can be good, and some of it is probably not so good. But it is here and probably here to stay. The only issue I have with the social networking text, I don't like to be text, because I have to carry, you know, I'm 52 years old, so I have to carry around a young person with me so they can translate what you all saying. I don't understand at all. I don't like nobody writing me in some little letters, you know, laugh out loud. Write out the words so I can understand. I can read that. Hello, whatever. Hello, what does that mean? I mean, but you know, this is the way we're moving, and we're moving at light speeds. I mean, things are changing as we speak. There will be new technologies that will be created this year. Some of you as students, from a research perspective, may be engaged in creating this new technology. That is wonderful. That technology becomes technology that can be used all over the world. Because of that technology, some in Haiti have been saved. Tragically, so many lost their lives. But some have been saved because of that technology. So we thank God for that technology. But we have to find a way to keep moving forward in this nation that we all call home. This nation that we all should love. This nation where we have so much opportunity. Last year I was blessed to travel to a half a dozen country organization, realizing the dream, went to India to retrace the steps of my father and mother, who had gone there 50 years ago. And they went throughout that country, tracing some of the going to some of the places where the great Mohandas K. Gandhi went, where he walked, where he lived. And my wife and I had an opportunity with the congressional delegation in February of last year to do some of that, to go to some of those places, and it was remarkable. Because certainly Martin Luther King Jr. and Mohandas K. Gandhi, when Mohandas K. Gandhi first taught us the value of nonviolence and how nonviolently you can change a nation and a world community. And so one day, as I keep saying, we've got to learn nonviolence. And then after leaving India, we were able to go to Kenya. Kenya in Africa, a great nation that was embroiled in conflict 2 years ago after a presidential election. And now, while that country is back on its feet in an appropriate way, as other world countries, it is impacted by the world economy. But yet, at least the country is in a stable position today. And then leaving Kenya and going to Bosnia. Bosnia had been engaged in a war for over, 15 years ago, between 1991 and 1995. And in Bosnia, the Bosniaks, the three ethnic groups, the primary three ethnic groups, the Croats, the Bosniaks, and the Serbs, are still harboring animosity because of the war. that occurred between 1991 and 95. So imagine I went in May of last year, and I was asked to speak in a school of mostly Eastern Europeans. They all looked like white Americans to me, but they were different ethnic groups. And so there's hostility between those groups, just as maybe in the 60s, blacks and whites there was some hostility between blacks and whites. I had to share a personal perspective. And what I shared with them was, when I was 10 years old, my father was gunned down by a white man. And when I was 16 years old, my grandmother was gunned down by a black man. And it would have been easy for me to embrace hatred. But I'm thankful that I chose to embrace love and forgiveness. And so I never hated the person of my grandmother. And sharing that experience, I believe, helped some of those students. And we'll be going back to Bosnia sometimes this year, because one of the components that we're engaged in, we're realizing the dream is leadership training for young people. And then we left Bosnia and went to Serbia about a month later. And then from Serbia we went to Israel, where we brought together Palestinian and Israeli young people and exposed them to what we call Kingian nonviolence. And those young people wanted more of that philosophy, teaching them how to live together without destroying personal property in the midst of deep, deep turmoil. And then our team went from Israel to South Africa. And of course, we also then identified more young people to be a part of our International Youth Corps. And then in November, our team went to Sri Lanka. And in January, on about the 30th of January, we'll be going back to Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has a small nation right near the country of India, but that nation has about 20 million people, and they had been at war for the last 30 years. So about 6 months ago, they no longer are fighting, but they still need to be engaged about how we live together while we've been fighting all of these years. So we again shared a perspective, and the country and the leadership has invited us back. So we'll be going back, as I said, at the end of this month to work with people in Sri Lanka. There are many crisis situations in the world, just as there is a significant concern at home. Last night, after I left Massachusetts Monday, I was asked to stay in Massachusetts to encourage people to come out for the election that took place today. Now, no matter what side people may be on, I think that the president is trying his best to do what is best for the American people. I think there's something wrong with 46 million people not having health insurance. I don't understand that in a nation with so much wealth. If we were a third world developing country, at least intellectually I can understand it. But it's hard for me to understand in 2010 why we're just now, we may be close to getting health care, but it is projected, and I don't know what's going to happen in this election. But if the president loses that